And we are rolling on the 21st of April at UCLA, where it's another gorgeous, sunny, beautiful day. As usual, the sunshine is shining, and Recall will share with us a film that really moved her. Give me a moment to get the trusty timer out.
Hi, I'm Recall.
Hi, Recall.
And I want to start off with a quote that I got from the film that I'll be sharing about. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. The movie I want to share with you guys today is Ucla and the Bee. This movie has definitely moved me in many ways. It has made me feel heartbroken, refreshing, and it mostly motivated me. A San Francisco Chronicle stated that Ucla and the Bee connects where it counts the most, on an emotional level. I want to start off by telling you guys how this movie made me feel heartbroken. As I watched the movie, I immediately learned that Ucla, the main character in the movie, lost her father. It made me feel heartbroken because I grew up without a father as well. My father passed my 11th grade year of high school, and I definitely know how it feels to grow up without a father. You can really tell, like in the movie, where she was benefited and doubted just because she didn't have a father, and she couldn't go too far without it. I could definitely connect with her in this aspect, and it definitely brought back memories to the fact that I didn't have a father as well. Secondly, I want to tell you about how this movie made me feel refreshing. Despite feeling heartbroken, I kind of felt refreshing to know that there was someone else like me, just like her. Growing up in a dangerous neighborhood in South LA, just like Ucla, I was challenged with many obstacles that I couldn't really face, but I had to. Ucla also did the same. She grew up in a dangerous neighborhood where gunshots went off at night, and she had to get through it. Thirdly, I want to talk about how this movie motivated me. Despite growing up without a father, despite growing up in a neighborhood in South LA, Ucla still strives to be the best. There were moments where she had to choose to go on with the spelling bee because of her background and her demographics. Ucla challenged a lot of things that she shouldn't have, and I did the same growing up. Growing up, it really wasn't easy for me to connect with my classmates because I came from a different place. But watching Ucla and the Bee made me really focus and realize that no matter where you come from, it's all about how you finish. There's no doubt that this movie made me feel heartbroken, refreshing, and it motivated me. Tying back to the quote, I want to talk about how Ucla mentioned in the movie that this quote made her realize that she was not afraid to move on and not afraid to take challenges that she shouldn't have been in. She made it to the spelling bee and won the championship despite everything that she's been through. Thank you.
Thank you. 3:37. Let's start on this side today.
Hi, my name is Matt.
Hi, Matt.
I felt like your personal examples were very spot on. I also felt I could feel your honesty when you were speaking about how you really felt about the movie, how the movie came off to you. Mm-hmm. So I felt like that was really important just to share, and I could see your honesty like in the way you spoke and your personal examples. So.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Sia.
Hi, Insia.
that your structure and speech and everything was great, but like maybe a little more voice moderation and like expressions would make a better emotional connection with the audience, because like your stories were very, very emotionally powerful. But like, because there were like not that many moderations, maybe they could like connect as well.
Yeah.
That would like help you connect better.
Okay.
Thank you. Insia. Let's talk about your speech, Ricole. You started with a great quote, and you read it nice and slow and emphasized some key words, which I like. It would be even stronger to know it even better and do it without notes, so you really, kill it. But it still was a good quote, and you tied back to it, so it shows me you understand the concept of the tie back. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that you do this all the time. You sway like this, okay? And so you need to lock and load, shall we say, lock and load your legs, and yeah, right. So you don't sway. That was the whole purpose of the tripod of the legs, see? So you can't sway as much. Yeah, power stance, and that will make you more effective, because it's a little dizzying, watch you sway, and that sort of thing. Your thesis was fine. Your quote from the San Francisco Chronicle was fine, except you forgot to say whether you agreed or disagreed with the quote. So remember, folks, say whether you agree or disagree with your quote. In the main body of your speech, you first talked about being heartbroken. And you talked about losing your father in the 11th grade, which was a very honest and probably painful thing to talk about. I would have liked you to have talked about that act more, when you learned he died, where you were, how it affected you, how you cried, how empty you felt, that sort of thing. And then return to the words, and that's why I felt heartbroken. See?
So
Explain it more, stretch it out more, because that's when you really get an emotional connection. You said the movie made you feel refreshing, or I guess refreshed is what we're looking for. And you talked about other people having a similar dream, right? So that was fine. And then motivated, you talked about the fact that you couldn't relate to some of the people in your neighborhood, the challenges, but that you still were motivated to succeed and to be something more and be better than what was happening in your neighborhood. And so that was pretty good. Your summary was good. Your tie back to your quote was good. Remember the conclusion. There should be no doubt in this room. I want you to emphasize it with your voice. No doubt in this room, this film really knocked my socks off, really moved me, see? And then do the tie back. I asked that you, do you have your canais here in your self-evaluation?
This is my first speech, so like...
So we don't have
I'll put some in there, though.
Okay, where are they?
There
they are. Okay, good. Your canais were to make eye contact with the audience, not to talk too fast, and to talk clearly. How did it go?
I feel like I made eye contact, but I kind of rushed through it.
Okay.
And,
right. For 3:37, you had a good minute-ish, 2 minutes sort of time left. You could have slowed down and, like I said, elaborated on each of the emotions. That would have made a stronger connection. But overall, you got it done and did a good job, Ricole. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the A's. Let us now hear from Paula. Hi, Paola. Paola stands before you, managing attention in the power stance, communicating respect non-verbally, making sure all phones are away, computers closed, eyes are upon you, saying to yourself, I really respect my audience, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Paola, and today
Hi, Paola.
I'm going to start us off with a quote by the film that I'm going to be talking about. It's, life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. So if y'all don't know what that is, it's from Forrest Gump. So I'll start off by saying that my emotions towards this film go hand in hand with a review by Robert Fayers from the Austin Chronicle that says the movie is a remarkable film about sentimentality and harshness, also darkness and light. I do agree with this quote because the movie does have moments in which they're very harsh and they're very emotional, but also very happy and funny, ironic moments as well. And so now I'll begin by telling you how this film moved me. It definitely moved me in both very happy, positive, and sad ways. But in specific, it made me happy, made me feel nostalgic, and sad. Oh, and cry, sorry. So first I'll tell you how this film made me happy. It occurred when there's a scene when Forrest is on the bus and he's trying to find a seat and no one wants to sit with him except Jenny. And this reminds me of a time when I first met my roommate. And I really like this moment because it symbolizes, I guess, the maturity and courage behind not judging someone prior to getting to know them. And I really like that. And my roommate, she was very patient and kind towards me and understanding of what I was going through, and she didn't judge me based on my actions or anything. She was kind and just open-hearted towards me. And that's why this scene in particular made me very happy.
Great.
It reminded me of my friendship with my roommate. And now I'll tell you about how this movie made me nostalgic. Made me nostalgic because there's a scene in which Forrest's mother is dying, and she's dying of cancer. And this reminded me of the time when my grandmother was also dying of cancer. I remember I found out, I think I was in my room, and my mom, she pulled me off to the side, and she told me, your grandmother's sick. She's dying of cancer, and but they're still going to continue treatment. I think several weeks went by where she just wasn't getting treatment. They were ignoring her in the hospital, and she was really sick and suffering. And that moment really took me back. In that moment when I heard it, my eyes were just bloodshot, brooding, watery, teary, and my body went numb. And that's how this film made me nostalgic. It reminded me of my grandmother's death. So now I'll tell you about how this movie made me cry. It's towards one of the last scenes where Forrest is standing over Jenny's grave, and he's kind of talking about how he doesn't know if we're there because we have a destiny or because we're just floating around like a breeze. And I think it's sad because it makes me think about life in general and not just one particular moment. It reminds me of just losing something, anything, like a dog or family members. Or, I had to give away my golden retriever, and it reminded me of losing my dog. One of my other dogs died. Also, there was a big family feud on both sides, mom and dad. And I lost them as well, cousins and everything included. So that's why it was very powerful for me. It just reminded me of everything that I've gone through. So Now, in conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that this movie did not move me. Going back to the quote, I think that this movie is very sentimental and harsh, just with its topics of like death and losing like a friend or a parent, and it's also very like light because of just how funny it is. Just Jenny's friendship, having funny moments, just it's very, very interesting things in the movie. So my tie back would be, ultimately life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, and that's how life is to this point. I didn't know I was gonna end up here, and I'm here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 507.
Hi, I think you did really.
Name, please.
I'm Rico.
Hi, Rico.
I think you did really good. Like I remember.
Did really well.
Really well.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your first speech and you like improved a lot, just like from not being so nervous, and like you really opened up, and like you kind of like inspired me to like be more open, and you said everything really well, and you told us like how you felt, and like you really connected on an emotional level.
Yes, it was a good example of felt sensing, where she relived the moment, and her reliving it, we felt it too. That's how to do it. Yes, please.
Oh, sorry. We're going snaking. Hi, I'm Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Something I thought you could improve on. I really loved your speech, and I liked how you organized it. I thought that you were a little bit quiet, and it came off as nervous. And I know you know your speech, you know what you're talking about, but just when you're speaking very softly, it sounds like you're a little more nervous than you probably are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And if you have vocal variety, you can be soft. We were kind of leaning in to get your emotion, but you can be louder at times and vary it, and it will be more effective. Instead of all of us saying, I'm going to start off with a quote, just start. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, right? And, just start with the quote and then a transition to your thesis. You knew the quote by memory, which was excellent. You agreed with it, which I liked. That was good. So you sold the speech, the significance of it. Your first emotion was happy, and you were happy because you had a roommate that was mature and didn't judge you and accepted you as you are, and that came through. Your strongest, which was interesting, because you buried it in the middle, and that's when I talked about rhetorical choices, you have to choose where you're going to put your stories and stuff, was the story of Forrest's mother dying and your grandmother dying in the hospital and being ignored, and we could really feel your emotions because you were re-feeling them. And yet, you walked the razor's edge. You weren't overcome by emotions. And I want you to remember this metaphor, folks, because that's what we want to do when we're felt sensing. We don't want to go off into emotions so much that we can't continue. The edge of a razor is very hard to walk on, right? It's very narrow and very thin. We don't want to fall off into emotions. We don't want to be the other way, like the South Campus people that have no emotions. Little machines down there. Right? We want to be right on the razor's edge in perfect balance between the left and right sides of our brain with emotions and rationality and in good balance. And I think you had it with your second incident, which you called nostalgic. Your third one was also excellent when you talked about losing lots of things, your dog, your family, to a fight and that sort of thing. But the loss that you listed were all very powerful and moving. You skipped the summary. So remember, it always comes in summary. We want to build in redundancy into our communication. So in case someone is, eating or nodding off, that they'll get what you said one place or another in your speech. Your tieback was excellent, and your conclusion was excellent. Your canais. Speak louder, walk around, and have a tieback. How'd it go?
I think I could still improve on the speaking louder.
Right. How are you going to do that?
I think practice.
Yes. And practice with a live person and tell, not just a mirror, and tell the live person, my goal is to be louder at times and softer at times. And I want vocal variety, and help me get it by waving my hands at times to get me to spit it out and to fill the room more with my energy. Overall, you did a really excellent job. You got the thrust and the essence of the assignment, which was to learn how to connect emotionally, and you did that. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to Olivia.
Which ones do I stick with giving?
All of them.
All of them.
Yes. Okay. Olivia stands before you, managing attention. Undo your hands. Let them lay free and loose by your side. Communicating respect non-verbally, saying to herself, I really respect my audience and mean it. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, my name's Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
As somebody somewhere once said, good friends don't let you do stupid things alone. I think personally 2 heads are always better than 1, even if you're doing something completely stupid. And that could be on a surface level, or it could be something gravely stupid. It's always just better to have somebody else there with you, I think. So today I'm going to tell you about a film that really moved me. It's about friendship. It's called The World's End. This film inspired me, it disturbed me, and finally it reassured me. Mark Olson of the LA Times said of this movie, World's End is a comedy tinged by regret, a light sadness, and a lacerating self-awareness. And I think personally that this self-awareness that he mentions is very true to the plot. It's a wacky movie, it's completely strange, but it has a self-awareness that makes you reflect back on your own friendships, that makes you think about what power dynamics are going on in this. So, the first emotion that this movie made me feel was, it made me feel inspired. It inspired me when the scene when you start to realize that it's not just a silly comedy, it actually gets even sillier, and there are aliens. Which actually ultimately help the characters to realize their own insecurities and all of the complexities of their friendship. This reminded me of the time that I went to the park with my friend and pretended that we were in a zombie apocalypse. I was going through a really hard time at that time, and so was she. I was dealing with a lot of depression, just depression period, and I felt that I was trapped in a spiral of non-creativity. I didn't have any new thoughts. And that was disturbing me at that moment in time. My friend, she had other problems. She was having troubles at home. But one day we just decided to go to the park, and we were always really interested in survivalist things, like where would we hide if the zombies attacked. So we ran around the park. We found all of the best hideouts, and I think it helped us get through our problems there just for that day. So that really inspired me. The second way that this movie moved me was that it disturbed me. I have a friend who's, well no, sorry. In the movie there is a friend. He's an alcoholic, he is completely off the wall. And in the movie, at the very end, he doesn't stop drinking, even though the world is quite literally collapsing around him, everything's crumbling. And this reminded me of one of my friends who's one of my best friends in the world. She's very creative and very exciting to be around, partly because she's an incredibly impulsive person. But one day we were driving home. She was going too fast. I told her to stop going too fast. And we went around a corner and we hit a light post. She was distraught, absolutely that night. I could see that she was completely, torn apart by what she'd done. Luckily we weren't hurt. We just totaled a car. But I still saw her, in the months after, she continued the same behavior patterns. No matter what I said to her, it wouldn't change her attitude. And I think that disturbed me because it showed me that friends have a great influence on each other, but sometimes you can't control what somebody else is doing. So the third way that this film moved me was that it reassured me. My friend from the beginning, she used to be one of my best friends, and then she got a boyfriend. And all of a sudden I didn't see her anymore. And that upset me a lot. And for several years I was kind of slightly angry at her. I still liked her a lot. But, I'd say sort of mean things about him, like, oh, he's just, why does he exist? But finally I had lunch with her recently. And I talked to her about all sorts of things, and I realized that even though I went through that, I was thinking that I had lost her, deep down we still had that connection that we had at the beginning. We were still friends, even though I was sort of angry. And I got over that, which reassured me, because I realized that I could forgive somebody for something that was kind of silly in the first place. So in summary, this movie inspired me, it disturbs me, and it reassured me. I think what The World's End really shows us, even though it's a really silly movie about friends who have all of these problems, it's very funny, they're aliens, it's ultimately about the fact that we can't control each other, even if we really, really like each other. We're not the same people. So I think the phrase, good friends don't let you do things alone, really encapsulates that. Because even if you have two heads, those two heads are separate, but they're still better together.
Thank you. 550.
Hi, I'm Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey.
That was amazing. It's been clear to me that you're a very natural, comfortable speaker, and you have a really good sense of humor. But with this speech in particular, you did a really good job of finding a natural way of contrasting that humor at the beginning with a clear, emotional, kind of heavy feelings that you had, and you did it in a really comfortable but also very connected way to us. So you just delivered that really well and connected to the film clearly and your story. And I think your examples were really good because they weren't just the same thing that happened in the movie happened exactly to you, and you related kind of the resulting themes of each story. So I thought that was nice. But overall, yeah, it was really good.
Thank you, Kelsey. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Stefan.
Hi, Stefan.
I too really enjoyed your speech. I thought it was incredibly well done, well thought out. if I could say anything, maybe just project your voice a little more. And I think it went a little long just because you pause just a little bit, like between.
Yes.
Other than that, it was incredible.
Thank you, Stefan. Olivia, yes. It went long, and that occurred mainly because of the pace, but also your film summaries were too much, and you wanted to be. That's where you cut, because you don't need it. You know, you could just say, you know, we don't need the subtleties of the plot. Just friends pretend to be zombies. This reminded me, and then tell us the great story that you told. Well, let's start at the top. You had a great intro, and we could tell. Put your hands out. You probably let them be natural by your side, and stay in the power stance. One thing about your stance, by the way, I didn't get it on camera, but you have a real bad habit of kicking up feet like this and kicking up your feet like that during your speech. So try to keep yourself planted firmly on the earth when you speak. Your thesis was excellent. You knew your quote, and you said you agreed with it, and that was fun. Your first story of being inspired, I was moved by your own revelation of depression and of your own friends' negative space she was in. And I appreciated the silliness that gave you a moment of respite in Golden Gate Park. So I connected with that story. So that emotional connection was well done. Second one, disturbed you. Again, we just needed to say there was a reckless alcoholic. And I too had a reckless friend, and we were driving, and you told her to slow down, and she refused, and bang, we hit a post. And I think that I wish you had focused more on just how much it disturbed you that people can be reckless. You know, it's a mean thing to say, but something that really bothers me is I hear about drunks killing people and surviving accidents, and, you know, they seem to come out of it okay, and it bugs me because they hurt other people, but you know, they're relaxed or something. But she was putting your life in danger by being reckless, and I think that's what I wanted you to express a little more of, you being so disturbed, but also realizing your impotence in doing anything about it came through nicely. On your third feeling, and by the way, your walking was interesting. Let's do the 3 this way, 5 this way, and back to center for the third one, and end up in the center that way. Was very honest. Someone got a boyfriend, and you honestly said, I hated him and her, and I felt lonely and betrayed and abandoned, and that was very, stay in the power, so you're doing it with your feet again. Maybe Tai Chi would help you. Have you heard of Tai Chi? Because your body's doing a lot of things that maybe you're not aware of it's doing, and that slow motion sometimes helps people get a better sense of what their body is doing. I like the story of you reconciled, so you told, you know, that there was kind of a happy ending to that story, and so that was good. Summary, good. Conclusion, a little long there. Tie back, fine. Your canais, don't sway. Stick to the outline structure and be more concise. How'd it go?
It was not more concise.
Okay, yeah.
Considering that it went over.
Yeah.
I'm not sure entirely if I swayed or not. I tried not to.
Yeah, a little less than before. Okay. Yeah, so that was better. Yeah.
And I think I remembered.
Yeah,
to say the exact
you know the storytelling outline now, and that gives you a hook to place things on, and that's good, but mainly we're focused on reliving our emotions and connecting, and I think you did that nicely, so thank you. Okay, that will bring us to Dimitrik. No, Dimitri. Oh, the big zero. Okay, that will bring us to Insia. Wait a minute, I have to remove your staples.
I think there's one left.
I know. Can you pull that chair and put it over there? It's coming into the picture. So I'll put it way up there. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Insia stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to yourself, I really respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, relax your hands. Okay. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Insia.
Hi, Insia.
Sometimes we go our whole lives without realizing the influence of society not only on our lives, but also on who we are. But ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we can go our entire lives without realizing that we have it within our own hands to change that. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I will be telling you about a movie that really moved me, Chocolat. It made me sad, it made me angry, and it made me think. Michael Wilmington from the Chicago Tribune said that it was a tantalizing, delectable, and randy film. A movie of melting eroticism and toothsome humor, and while I agree with Mr. Wilmington's assessment of the movie, I find it quite lacking. In that, the movie is much, much more than that. It is rather like a social commentary. It, within its layers upon layers, explores the relation of society and human relations. The reason that this movie made me sad was because there was this one woman in the movie who was sexually, physically, and emotionally abused by her husband, and she could never leave him. My aunt, my mother's sister, has for over 25 years gone through a very similar thing. She married her childhood sweetheart and ran away to marry him. But it was not long before he started abusing her. Emotionally, physically, sexually, just like the character in the movie. It's been 25 years and she has had 3 kids with him, and she has still not left him. And when we ask her why, she says, well, I wouldn't know what I would do with my life, I wouldn't know who I would be, and I wouldn't know where I would go if I were to leave him, and that inherently makes me really, really sad. The second way in which the movie moved me was that it made me angry. It made me angry because the mayor of this little French town used religion to manipulate the townsfolk into buying into his narrative of how he believes the world is supposed to be. And this made me angry because in the subsect of Islam that we follow, something very similar happens. We have this thing called zakat, where 15% of your income needs to be given to the religious leaders, and it goes towards a charitable cause. However, what I found out very recently, and what still a lot of people do not know, is that a huge amount of that income goes to fund the rather extravagant lives of these religious leaders, and to manipulate and use faith of a person to your own benefit is inherently very, very angering. The third way in which the movie moved me was that it made me think. Johnny Depp, the rather good-looking character of the movie, is a wanderer who comes into this French town, and wanderers at that time are not considered equal in the society living in that town. He goes to a local cafe and asks for some soda water and is refused service. So he looks to the owner of the cafe and says, I'm only looking for some soda water for this little girl. And the manager looks straight into the big eyes of this little girl and says, we don't serve to animals. And this really made me think, because something very similar had happened when me and my family had gone to this rather swanky restaurant for dinner, and we had our maid and her younger daughter accompany us. My maid and her younger daughter were mistreated by the waiters and the staff at the restaurant. And that got me thinking. It got me to think about how society creates these hierarchies. And it creates this strata. And whenever we consider somebody to be below us in that strata, we find it very easy to mistreat them. I have grown up being told that treat others how you would want to be treated. But the way that society structures our lives, it becomes very easy to mistreat other people. There should be no doubt in this room that chocolat made me sad, it made me angry, and it made me think. It really moved me because it made me think about the relation of society in our lives. But ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to be the woman who is only defined by her husband. We don't have to buy into religious manipulations, and we don't have to mistreat other people. Yes, society has a huge influence in shaping our lives and making us who we are. But remember that it is also in our own hands to decide not only who we are, but who we want to be. We should aspire to be better than who we are.
Thank you. Okay. Where are we? Here, yes, sir.
Hey y'all, I'm Zeus.
Hi, Jesus.
You did a great job with your projection this time compared to the respect. I didn't feel like you were yelling this time, but I really enjoyed it. And I particularly enjoyed when you talked about social hierarchies and also how a person shouldn't stay in an abusive relationship.
Good. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Claire.
Hi, Claire.
Yeah, I thought it was very smooth. One thing I would say is maybe at parts it was a little bit fast. You could have like slowed down, kind of dramatize your point. And also it was kind of formal, like the use of ladies and gentlemen, but other than that, it was really good.
Yeah. Okay, Intia, let's talk about your speech. For this class, I realize that on the debate team you refer to the chairman and to the head of the so forth and so on and so forth. But let's lose ladies and gentlemen for the purpose of this class. We want in America be more informal and just more relaxed about addressing people. And it's sort of like when your mother catches you in the cookie jar and uses your full name and your middle name and N.C.L. Marie, you know you're in trouble. Well, when someone says ladies and gentlemen, it's that sort of takes you aback. It was softer, but still the class next door, the professor had to come out and close the door because it was still louder, so still a tone down, okay? And let's work on a softer Insia and then come up. I love your projection, and it works, in debate rounds, but work on a range so that you have a softer side and an easier.
Softer this time.
It certainly was softer than the first speech, but let's make it even softer. Very smooth, very fluent. You practiced it, it was good. Your thesis about sad, angry, and think was clear. I'm going to talk about those in a moment. The Wilmington quote from the Chicago Tribune was succinct and well said and agreed with. On sad, what worried me about your story, and I like the fact that it was a very short plot summary. You spent most of the time on your story. It was a story about somebody else that you then had a very short span of how Insia felt sad. And when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you will see that we got very little of Incia's reaction. You use more of the story to get the pathos and the emotions going for your audience to feel bad about the story, instead of remembering how angry and frustrated and sad you are about this ant, is it, that's trapped in a very bad circumstance. So elaborate on your own feelings, remember them, sense them, and then communicate them. We'll feel them too. Your second emotion was anger, and you told us about, religion, and you told us about a system of tithing 15%, and yes, you woke up and discovered that, many religious leaders are living high on the hog, and it's sort of, as you put it, appalling. And I could feel your anger about that, and that was pretty well developed, and that was a little better developed, but still, elaborate more. You were counting on the outrageousness of them living high on the hog instead of, I'm mad about this, I'm pissed.
The one thing that I struggled with when I was practicing was that every time that I tried to go too much into the emotions, I started going over time.
Right.
So I found it really hard to sort of talk about everything, because all the descriptions, even if I kept them as short as I could, it still didn't leave me with enough time to really
elaborate enough. Well, you work on one thing about it was I thought your third Johnny Depp we could have shortened, but I think you had to say it as a setup for your, as you put it, your May being discriminated against in the restaurant. Once again, I think that I would like, this was something that happened to somebody else and not to you, and it's sort of a secondary reaction. I'd like to hear when you're discriminated against and that sort of thing, and more stuff that happens to Incia. Your summary and conclusion and tieback were all flawless and all smooth and tied together very nicely. So overall, my big feedback to you this time is still even softer, and still work on learning to make an emotional connection by communicating your feelings and not using pathos and using emotional situations to get the emotions, but use your remembering your emotions to get the audience to feel with you. Let's look at your kanai. Softer, connect more, stick to the structure, and don't rant. Did you feel she was ranting a little or not really? Was it a little bit of a rant? I don't know.
Well, it was like a good rant.
What?
Passionate rant.
Passionate rant.
It wasn't like you were just...
Yeah, she wasn't out of control rant. Right. Yeah, don't rant.
It wasn't like a lecture.
Yeah, okay. It was a fairly subdued rant. So, but you're aware that that's a potential problem, so you want to work on that. Overall, good job. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to Justin.
I'm a C.
Justin Jackson.
Yeah, I'm a C. Or is it?
No, you're a B.
I'm a C. Yeah.
Oh, well, my list says you're a B. Okay, cool.
Sorry, Elvis Lewis, yeah.
Okay. Then I guess our work is done for the day, except let's have one introductory speech and we'll call it a day. Who would like to do an introductory speech?
I'll do mine.
Great. Ah. Good. That kills his birth. Are you? Who are you introducing? Yourself?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. Okay, let me adjust the camera.
This is the respect speech, right?
We're really going. You haven't done your respect.
I can do my respect speech.
Oh boy, we're really rewinding here today. Okay, wow. Okay. Now take one step forward, please. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kristen stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
All right, good afternoon, class. My name is Justin Jackson.
Hi, Justin.
So in doing the I respect you experiment, I like to call it, I started with the mindset, which I was instilled with as a young child, the golden rule, which we all know, we all rehearsed it, do unto others as you would expect yourself to be others to do unto you. So with doing this, I figured out that it would be best if I approached this with two techniques first. I'm naturally pretty tall, so I thought that communicating respect non-verbally would kind of put me at a disadvantage because I always have to look down at people. So by first, I wanted to start by not riding my skateboard around campus and actually walking and kind of just putting my eyesight level with people when I came across them. And then secondly, I wanted to just extend a firm handshake and a smile to people to communicate nonverbal respect. So the first technique I used, like I said, not riding my skateboard and articulating eye contact with people, I found that to be not as successful as I hoped. I kind of would just like longingly gaze at people and expect them to like reciprocate with eye contact, but some people really just like sharply turned away, and I found that to be kind of the bad of my experiment. But also there was some good in that because some people kind of saw it as me kind of just giving them a little bit more added attention when I go through my day. We have the spring activities fair, and then when I was flyering for my club, it's a Christian organization on campus, they kind of saw that me longingly like making eye contact with them, it kind of intrigued them. They approached me instead of me having to approach them. But also with the second technique I had, extending a firm handshake and smile, I found that to be the most effective way because people really aren't going to pass you by if you just extend your hand and welcome them with a smile. It'd be kind of rude if they did. And that kind of segued me to the best opportunity in my experiment because I found people were really welcoming and warm to me. And they didn't, as I said, just turn away and leave my hand out there open-ended. If I were to say I had an ugly example in my experiment, that'd just be one example at the Spring Activities Fair when I did actually extend my hand, a smile, a locked eye contact, and a person just immediately took out their phone, what I would assume pretended to be on the phone and walked straight by me. I took it as a learning opportunity, really, to kind of, I would say, put more of an effort to not seem as intimidating when I approach people. It kind of could be robotic to just extend my hand and smile at someone. So I thought, if anything, that would be the best learning aspect that I did get from this experiment. But overall, I found out that it's truly important that if you do go in with the mindset each day that what you put out is what you would want for someone else to reciprocate to you, your days would be much better. That concludes my speech.
Thank you. 247.
Hi, I'm Grace.
Hi, Grace.
I really liked your speech. You're a really likable and personable speaker. I liked your opening with the golden rule, and I thought you had a good tie back at the end to how that is relatable in day-to-day life. And I thought your transitions were smooth.
Thank you, Grace. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi. I also really liked your speech, and I did a really great job. I would just say maybe slow down in certain areas. It seemed like it was a little rushed. And also maybe make your movements a little bit more fluid, but besides that, it was really good.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about a couple of things. I liked your speech. Thank you for volunteering to get it out of the way. What you're doing now, don't stay out of the habit of steepling. It's called steepling. It's a bad habit. I like your speech. As someone said, you're a likable person, and that's hard to teach and to get. It's hard to get somebody to have that, and so that was good. Started with the golden rule and then told us what you did non-verbally. I would ask you, did you still repeat the mantra silently to yourself as you were walking around too?
Yeah, when I was trying to like eye contact with people, I did feel like I respect you, just to people I
say
saw.
it to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, to yourself, but not aloud. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, but not definitely riding your skateboard or what are those other things that are powered on electric hoverboards. Those aren't just as earphones and these aren't friendly things for communication. What I was looking at for a structure is kind of just a little intro to get us used to who you are, and then a preview that's real overt. I'm going to tell you about the good, the bad, the ugly, you know. And give us a roadmap, we call it, of where you'll be going. It didn't have to be in that order, and you didn't have to do it that way. And then I'll tell you what I learned, and then do that, and follow that. As someone suggested, you want to walk purposely. So the good, 2, 3 steps, the bad, over here, the ugly, back to the center. See, you got this happening a couple times with your hands, as you'll see tonight on YouTube. On the substance of what happened to you, these are no surprises. They were reported by the class, but I hope it doesn't discourage you from continuing to try. The ugly, this is a defense mechanism that people use, the earbuds and the phone, as a way to tune people out. Also, you had a what I learned, but it was really buried. So bring your narrative out. So, what did I learn? I learned 3 things. See? So that it's very clear. But overall, you did a good job, and you got the assignment done. Thank you. Okay, folks, our work is done for the day. Return with honor. Oh, extra scantrons, yes. Thank you. Extra scantron. Speaking.
I forgot to attach my self-evaluation to my speech.
Okay. What is your name?
Alyssa.
Alyssa, were you early, late, middle?
I was the third
There
speech.
you go. You want to staple it? Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hello, Professor. Do
Yeah.
you think I was softer than last time?
I was, yes, softer, but you still need to be softer.
Even softer, but then I wouldn't be audible if I
No, you'll still be audible. You'll still be audible.
I find it really hard to like project myself well while being softer.
About being what?
While being softer.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
If you have like any inputs in how I can be softer and still project
You can
myself.
still project. Yeah, you saw the teacher across the way came and shut the door. That's how loud you were. So it wasn't softer. So just to be blunt about it. I thought it was still too loud. So, but it was definitely down two notches from before. You were almost yelling before. So, and that's, you know, in debate rounds and that sort of thing. That is useful. But, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Bye.
I just forgot to turn in my self-evaluation last time with my
Okay, great. Let me find you. What is it? Stefan Edwards? Stefan, what?
Hanish.
Stefan. Kelsey Grammer. Stefan, here, you want to staple it together? Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Same to you.